on today's show, 3 tools, technically 4. I'll explain why there's actually 4 that really have helped me in directing the 2 short films that I've directed. I've directed No Vacancy here and Disclosure here as well. They've gotten pretty good reception. This one won 12 awards in the festival circuit, and this one is actually even liked more by some people. So you can watch these on the channel. No Vacancies are not out yet, but it will be soon. You can watch Disclosure on the channel now. But I'm coming from a screenwriter background, so being a first-time director on No Vacancy and then a second-time director on Disclosure, I had to come up with tools that would be useful to me in order to successfully direct these 2 films. So what tools did I use to get a better idea of how to do these films and do them well? The first tool that I find insanely valuable, and by the way, you have to leave me a comment with the tools that you like as a director as well, or leave me questions about the tools that I'm going to reference. The first tool, and I'll actually show it to you guys. The first tool that I love is called Shot Deck. And Shot Deck is essentially a place. My DP slash co-director on No Vacancy told me about Shot Deck, and it is a tool for you. It's a really valuable tool for 2 reasons. One, it's good for coming up with a lookbook. It's not complete enough to fully create a lookbook around it. But you can, and a lookbook is what you create for your team that gives the tone and the feel and sort of some character outlines sometimes, so that your hair and makeup, so that your production designer, so that your DP can really understand like what you're going for. So it's really helpful in creating a lookbook, which is another helpful tool. It's not part of my top 3, but it's a really helpful tool, and I highly recommend it because it brings everyone into the vision of what you're trying to create. So lookbook would be like bonus 5, number 5 item. But Shot Deck is helpful for the lookbook, but is also really helpful for creating your shot list. And the shot list is something that is absolutely necessary, in my opinion. I think there are 2 types of directors and producers. I think one, you go in and you have a pretty good idea in your head of what you're trying to get, and so you can communicate that well to your team and like kind of do a guerrilla kind of style. That is not me at all. I'm a very planned director. I want to go in, I want to have a plan, and I want to do things with a purpose. So this next film that we're in pre-production on right now, in fact, we are raising money for it. So if anybody's out there and they want to be an executive producer and can come alongside us and help us produce it, or if you want to sponsor the film in some way, shape, or form, let us know, because we've got some packages that we can show to you. But one of the things that I was specifically looking up John Wick Chapter 4 because they have this shot. This is the shot right here, one of the shots. This is a moving camera that goes above all of the rooms. Our camera probably does not have this much movement at all because this is a really complex shot where they build this huge. I'm pretty sure, I don't know exactly how it was done because I haven't watched the behind the scenes, but what it looks like is that they built an entire building without a ceiling so that they could just move the camera around the building following John Wick from above. For me, the script in question it's required that we don't see the faces of the characters, and a top-down shot is sort of perfect for that because you can see the characters, you can see them moving around the room. It serves as a really strong master so that everyone understands like this is the room that they're in and why they're in it. And so this is a really cool example of people that I can show to my team, especially my DP, and say this is the shot that I'm trying to accomplish and this is why I'm trying to accomplish this shot. But like I said, it's not only valuable for that, but it's also valuable like in other ways too. Let's just say you had a specific color palette that you want. I mean, the John Wick color palette is like iconic because it's very much orange and yellows and blues and turquoises, right? That's basically what the John Wick color palette looks like. Just look at this. Like it's very saturated. It's very interesting. But let's say you had a different color palette that you wanted to pursue. Like I was watching, let's see if they have the French Connection on here. Basically what you can do is you can just look through movies, or you can describe the shot that you want. I want a close up, I want this, I want that. And you can search all of the different films on Shot Deck and look at all of the shots that you can come up with. So let's just say you had a different color palette, like more like this, the French Connection, which is it's a lot less vibrant, right? It's a lot more subdued. you can come in here and showcase to your DP, this is the kind of lighting I want. So all of those things, like I actually have in my uh, in my lookbook and in my conversations with the DP, I'm really focused on the newsroom scene from Citizen Kane. And this is that scene, and this is how gorgeous the scene is, because again, I'm trying to hide the faces of some of the characters, so we're playing with light a lot. So I can go to the gaffer and I can say, "Hey, gaffer, this is what I kind of want this scene to look like." Go to the DP, say, "This is what I kind of want this scene to look like," and it's very much described to them in a way that's visually appealing. They can go, "Oh, can I match what I'm trying to do with lighting or with camera placement or whatever to the reference that the director has given me?" So I cannot say enough good things about Shot Deck. Quite frankly, they should probably sponsor the show. If anybody knows anybody at Shot Deck, tell them I would love to. I would love to be sponsored by them, and I'm a big fan of theirs. So Shot Deck is one awesome tool that you should definitely check out if you're going to direct something. Another really valuable tool for me personally, again, I come from a screenwriting background. And Anna Jimenez says, "I'm happy." I'm glad you're happy. That's awesome, Anna. If only we could all be happy. I'm happy too. I can't complain. The next thing is I highly recommend that directors do a table read before you actually have even cast your film. So if you have friends who are actors, preferably, bring them all together. It's a really cool event because there's a lot of good networking that you can put together around a table read. I've done a table read before I did No Vacancy. Also did a table read before we did Disclosure. Really helpful tool. Now, why is a table read before you even cast your film helpful to do? Because you're already putting people in the roles and then you're hearing them read the script back to you. And what you're able to do then is understand, is this the right kind of person for this role, or do I need another kind of person for this role? As a writer, you can also say, oh, these are some of the parts where I feel like the audience was maybe getting bored. You can make changes. As a director, you could say, oh, okay, people didn't understand this part of the script at all, so I've got to go back and make sure that that's understood. I can either work with the writer, or if you're like me and you wrote the thing, then you can just rewrite it yourself. So a table read before the film is even cast helps you with casting, and it helps you with script revisions. Highly recommend that. It's been really, really beneficial for me. All of the things that have been beneficial to me, you can chalk up to practicing doing a thing before you ever get on set to actually do the thing. And so I think that that's like a really important aspect of things. The third tool that I've used as a director that I've found insanely valuable is after you have actually cast the film. I find it very compelling, and it helps to bring everyone into the vision and have everyone take ownership of the film. And that is when you're working with the performers, ask them if they'd be willing to or if they want to. I don't do this with every single performer because not every single performer wants to do this, and that's okay. But ask them if they'd be willing to write a backstory for their character. Now, granted, I, as the writer, already have a backstory for most of the characters because I'm into the characters, right? But as a director, I remove my writing cap and I put on my directing cap and I say, we're going to work together on this character. I want you to embrace this character as if it's yours. That may mean that it slightly changes the way that I saw the character when I was writing for the character. But what it does do is that now, as a director and as a performer, we have a shared understanding of who that character is and what they're bringing to the table so that we can have a shorthand conversations about that while we're on set. Remember when we talked about this? This is why we talked about that. Okay, great. Let's work that into this particular scene. So having performers, if they want to and if they're willing to, write their own backstory for their character, I think is phenomenal. And it's really helpful in a shared understanding of who that character is going to be. I've had multiple actors on both No Vacancy and Disclosure write their backstories. I even had one actor, a guy who's been in Oscar-nominated stuff, a friend of mine, Kirk Boville. He's on the poster right here. I even had him write basically an epilogue for his character, which he told me about while we were on set, which I thought was phenomenal. So yeah, really valuable tool, brings a shared understanding of the characters to both the director and the actors and the performers. And some actors don't want to write the backstories, and that's fine. I'll just have a conversation with them in detail about their character so that when they show up on set, I'm only offering them little minor directions. I'm not like changing their entire understanding of the character, which would be a disservice to them if I did that as a director. We should all show up knowing what the story is and what we're trying to tell, as opposed to let's just wing it on the day of. Now, that doesn't mean we won't try different things on the day of. We might, but it doesn't mean we're just creating the characters from scratch on the day of. So, highly recommend that. Which those are the three. Those are the top three things that I recommend. My fourth bonus thing, and this is a little bit of a cheat code, so I apologize in advance. But the fourth thing is actually watching a bunch of movies. That's like one of the things that you will very quickly learn is if I watch more movies and I don't watch them as an audience member, but I watch them as a creator, a filmmaker who wants to make films, what you start to think about in your head is, well, how did they accomplish that? And why is that so compelling to me on screen? In other words, I'm seeing something, I'm having an emotional response to it. How did they capture that? Let me break that down. Did they foreshadow this earlier? Have they been leading up to it? Are they surprising me with it? Is the camera angle different? Why is the camera angle different? Why did they choose that shot? If you start asking those kind of questions, and you're not just watching film to watch film, but you're watching film to study film, to learn what it's teaching you, that I think is a huge, huge deal. And one of the things that you can also do is you can encourage your whole cast and crew to watch some of the films that inspired the film that you're going to be producing, that you're going to be working on together. So, for example, my next film, The Hostage, we're in pre-production right now. It's very much inspired by films like Looper and films like Memento. And it has that, and Citizen Kane's newsroom scene, like I talked about earlier. All three of those things are things that I can point people to and say, the lighting here is exactly what we want. Notice how they're hiding the character faces. The frenetic feeling of what's going on is like what is Memento. So that's the kind of feel that we want for that. And then for Looper, it's like this gives you kind of a general storyline of what these characters are mentally dealing with. So watching films, and not just watching them as an audience member, but watching them as a filmmaker who wants to understand how it was done, and then breaking that down, really studying it to understand it, I think is my fourth bonus thing. Because we all watch films, but really studying them to break them down is a whole different thing. So if you have any questions about other tools that I use or other processes that I use as a director, leave them in the comments. I'm not going to pretend that I'm the best directing expert of all time. That's not true. I'm still learning, and as I learn, this is what this channel's for, is as I learn something, I go, oh, that was good to know. I'm going to go tell people about it. And this is what I've been learning so far, and it's been really helpful along the way. So leave me a comment if you have any questions, or if you have any questions about the film that we're making too, like leave me any comments about that, and I will do live shows on it next week. Those are my three extremely helpful tools with a bonus fourth. And actually, technically, I mentioned a bonus fifth too, the lookbook. So you got a bonus, 2 bonuses, 5 things that I think are really helpful in making film. All right, leave me a comment. Let me know how you liked it. Leave me a like as well. I'll talk to you on the next show. Bye.